In the last 15 plus years of working with companies, I've seen a dramatic recent changes in the pricing environment, which has really pointed towards the need for pricing software. And I think in the near future, companies would not even think of operating without having prescriptive software to help them run their company. There are a few reasons behind that. First of all, purchasers have become much more sophisticated. The last year alone, companies spent $3.2 billion in e-procurement software. So if you're a seller, if you're not prepared with cost to serve, willingness to pay, guidance on what the right price should be, you're going to be outgunned when it comes to negotiations. Second, we've seen a dramatic increase in cost volatility or price volatility for input costs. In the last 10 years, it's a 40% increase in price volatility. And many companies just don't have the systems and tools to react and identify these changes and respond appropriately. Take, for example, a computer server company. I was a client a few years ago. When earthquakes in Taiwan took out a major component supplier, they knew the components were going to increase in cost. They responded immediately to increase their prices, and their competitors took over a month. And they figured that allowed them an additional $20 million in profit from that ability to respond more quickly to cost changes. So it's going to become much more prevalent. Third is a increased proliferation of segments. Just look at the iPod, many different models, configurations, and compare that to the Sony Walkman of years ago. The fact is, consumers and businesses want products and services that are customized to them. And that creates a challenge from a pricing environment where you have to understand willingness to pay, trends in segmentation, and you just can't do that with spreadsheets anymore. Fourth is shorter product life cycles. Take the heart pacemaker. Years ago, heart pacemaker life cycles, product life cycles were measured in years, and now they're measured in months. And that's across many different products. You've seen a shortened product life cycle. And from a pricing standpoint, you need the ability to respond, to identify trends, because the margin of error is much smaller than it was years ago. Fifth is distributed decision making. There was an article in The Economist a few months ago about how much of the profit increase in the last few years has come from cost changes by reducing variable and fixed costs. And one implication of that is that many layers of management have been taken out and pricing decisions have been pushed much lower in many companies. And so in some companies you have hundreds or thousands of people that are making pricing decisions, and they need the data, the guidance, the prescription about what the right price should be in these negotiations. And many companies don't have what I call an institutional memory for pricing, because you don't want a salesperson to be alone when they're negotiating. You want to bring the collective experience, wisdom, and memory of all the other salespeople to bear at that individual point of sale. And you just can't do that without pricing software. And lastly is a change in technology itself. Data is much more available in terms of ERP systems. Storage costs have gone down, computing costs have gone down, and the software has really advanced to take advantage of this data availability. And Pros has really been a leader in using all this information to prescribe what the right price should be. So if we look at the case for pricing software, I think there's a risk mitigation case and there's a upside case. So in terms of risk mitigation, if companies are going to operate without pricing software, it's kind of like trying to land a commercial jet without an instrument panel or controls. I believe companies are increasingly going to put the profitability sort of at the whim of where they land and not knowing where they're going to land without these systems. And on the upside, pricing software really creates pricing power for a company. Warren Buffett recently was quoted in saying it's the number one thing he looks for in a company is pricing power. Pricing software allows you to identify segments, pockets within the company where you can raise price without impacting volume, and that's the definition of pricing power. Some companies can do this, at a whim. Most companies have to work very hard at it, and this is where expert pricing systems come to find these opportunities.